I was lounging on the couch, with Mark's arms wrapped around me as we typically sat in his living room. Suddenly, Emmett appeared from the hallway, causing me to fear that my worst nightmare had come true. However, within moments, Mark had shoved me out of his embrace and stood up, revealing that it was not a nightmare after all. Mark had pushed me away upon recognizing his friend and received a punch to the face in return. Emmett then turned to me and confessed, "I've been wanting the courage to remove you from my life and the lives of my children, and today, seeing you in the arms of my best friend, I finally got it." I attempted to chase after Emmett as he stormed out of the house, but he vanished without a trace, and I was unable to catch up with him. Although I knew I was on the brink of a disaster, I wasn't ready to handle it all just yet. "Hi, my name is Alex, and I started dating Mark 2 years ago. Before that, I was married to Emmett, who had 2 children from his previous relationship. Emmett was away when I was invited to a crucial party, but he urged me to attend. Attending a party solo, I found myself alone until Mark approached me. Being aware of my relation to his closest pal at the gathering, we quickly hit it off. We enjoyed each other's company, chatting, laughing, and dancing the night away, all while indulging in copious amounts of alcohol. Our connection was so strong that we eventually ended up in the back seat of his car. Despite having crossed paths a few times before, our encounter that night was unlike any other. Believing it to be a singular occurrence, we committed a grave error in judgment that we kept hidden from others. Determined to never repeat it, we went our separate ways after the incident. However, I couldn't shake the feeling of longing for Mark, even after returning home. Instead of remorse over betraying my husband, I found myself seeking out opportunities to see Mark again and again. I anticipated feeling remorseful for my actions towards husband. However, I did not. Initially, I thought I could never face my spouse again, but rather, I openly conversed with Emmett about Mark. There was no embarrassment or guilt present in my demeanor. I started meeting Mark in secret using various excuses, and every time we met, we ended up having passionate encounters. Initially, we were hesitant to indulge in such behavior, but over time, it became our right to pursue happiness. Despite having a lovely life with Emmett, being warmly welcomed by his children, and living in contentment, I couldn't resist seeing Mark. Mark and I became entangled, and my body was consumed by an insatiable desire. I was so consumed by my passion that I failed to realize I was jeopardizing my life. It had been a month since my last encounter with Mark, as Emmett had been home with his children at their request. But after a month of abstinence, I couldn't resist any longer. I made the decision to meet with Mark while the children were at school. I fabricated an excuse to Emmett regarding our children, stating that I had pledged to take them out for some ice cream once they were done with school. Afterward, I departed our residence and headed directly to Mark's. Meanwhile, Emmett was alone at home and decided to pay a visit to his closest companion, also arriving at his abode. Upon noticing my parked vehicle outside his friend's home, he felt confused. In just a few moments, I exited the residence and openly kissed his best pal in front of him. After getting back in my car and driving away, Emmett displayed patience by concealing himself to avoid being found by either of us. By the time he came back, I had already reached home and was there to welcome him with the kids. Though they mentioned having ice cream, he ignored us and headed straight to his home office. I had no idea about the occurrence he had witnessed concerning his company. As days passed by, I couldn't help but notice a shift in his behavior that persisted for almost a week. The more I pondered on it, the more convinced I became that something was amiss, and so I mustered the courage to confront him about it. In retrospect, I realized that I was the one with flaws that clouded my judgment. I had this tendency of projecting my shortcomings on others and viewing them through my flawed lenses. Instead of initiating an honest conversation, I impulsively accused him of infidelity, failing to acknowledge my own imperfections. To my surprise, he responded after hearing my accusations. The moment I found myself in the same room as him, I felt an intense urge to leave, and so I stormed out without hesitation. In my mind, I was convinced that the only plausible reason for Emmett's apparent disregard towards me was that he was involved with another woman. This belief was so strong that it clouded my judgment, causing me to remain oblivious to the fact that he had been biding his time, waiting for the perfect opportunity to confront me and remind me of my true position and value. After a whole month of my infidelity, he had finally mustered the courage to throw everything in my face, and I had no choice but to face the consequences of my actions. When he entered Mark's house, he told us that he knew everything and that I was now free to follow my wishes since he no longer wanted to stay in this marriage. I walked into the house, feeling somewhat apprehensive about Mark's well-being. To my surprise, he informed me that our relationship was over and demanded that I leave his home immediately. I was taken aback by his sudden announcement and attempted to rationalize with him, explaining that this was the perfect opportunity for us to finally embrace our feelings for one another. Unfortunately, Mark was adamant in his decision, cashing that he could never make our relationship official due to the stigma surrounding his previous affair with his best friend's wife. In a desperate attempt to salvage our relationship, I reminded him that he was now with me, but he simply couldn't bear the thought of the harsh reality that came with being with someone who was previously involved in such a scandalous situation. Upon my arrival at home, I was consumed with a profound sense of emotional anguish, my heart wounded, and my soul shattered into countless pieces, all due to Mark's refusal. As I attempted to open the gate, I was met with unexpected resistance, and so I resorted to knocking on the door instead. Emmett answered the door and handed me 2 bags without a word. Confused and in disbelief, I stopped him before he could close the door and asked him about the contents of the bags. To my utter shock and dismay, Emmett explained that all of my belongings had been packed up and that I was no longer welcome in house. Furthermore, he informed me that I was no longer allowed to see his children, effectively severing all ties between us. The weight of this sudden and devastating loss was almost too much to bear. The man callously discarded every single snapshot he had snapped of Mark and me throughout numerous days. Tragically, I lost everything dear to me, my spouse, offspring, abode, and dignity, all due to the overpowering influence of lust. The individual for whom I had been willing to forsake all else has also deserted me, for he is incapable of acknowledging our bond in a public. Despite my numerous attempts to contact Emmett, he never bothered to respond to any of my messages, leaving me feeling heartbroken and rejected. Even when I went to the school where our children attended in the hope of catching a glimpse of them, the teachers refused to let me meet them, stating that Emmett had instructed them to avoid me at all costs. The realization that I had been unfaithful to Emmett had dawned on me, but it was too late. Despite spending the last 3 years with those precious children, Emmett does not let me have any contact with them, depriving me of the joy of watching them grow and flourish. It seems as though this is my retribution for not having the opportunity to confess to my wrongdoing, or even make amends for my infidelity. As a result, I am left to face the world alone, with the weight of my guilt bearing down on me until my final breath. This is a price that I will have to pay for the rest of my life, as I foolishly took all the blessings in my life for granted. It is a heavy burden to bear, but I must continue on and hope that one day I will be granted the chance to make things right. Until then, I can only hope that this experience will teach me to be more grateful for the love and companionship that I am blessed with in my life. As time passed, I gradually stopped attempting to contact Emmett as I came to the realization that my lack of gratitude was the root cause of my punishment. It was a difficult pill to swallow, but I eventually accepted my fate. After 2 long years, I stumbled upon Emmett, his children, and an unfamiliar woman at a restaurant, all of them seemingly enjoying a pleasant evening together. I couldn't discern if this woman was Emmett's new love interest or not. As fate would have it, I was working as a waitress at the restaurant at that time. In order to avoid any awkward encounters, I quickly swapped tables with another server and made my exit. It was a painful reminder of what I had lost, but I knew that it was a consequence of my own actions. And I want to say to all those who are cheating or are going to cheat on their beloved spouses, don't do it. Stay honest and faithful.
The second story. As I picked up my phone, it suddenly began to ring. Before I could even utter a greeting, a voice on the other end informed me that my girlfriend, who I thought was away on business, was actually in bed with her business partner. The call abruptly ended, leaving me stunned. However, my shock was short-lived, as the doorbell rang and I quickly rose to answer it. Upon opening the door, I found no one in sight, but there was an envelope resting on the step. As I began to peel off the tape, I muttered Eva's name under my breath. If this was some sort of prank, it certainly wasn't amusing. The contents of the envelope revealed a photograph of Eva and her business partner in bed taken from a distance. As someone who works in IT, I knew that they were being spied on. When Eva failed to answer my call, I dialed the number provided in the envelope and was connected to the person responsible for the surveillance. When I asked the person on the phone for their identity, they responded by revealing that they were the wife of the man who appeared in the photographs with my girlfriend. This shocking revelation led me to discover that Eva had been in a relationship with her business partner before meeting me. In an attempt to make him jealous and regret breaking up with her, she began dating me. Learning of her ulterior motives and how she used my love for her to get back at her ex infuriated me beyond measure. I sat down and began to recollect the first encounter I had with Eva. My name is Darren, and I'm 25 years old. It was a year ago when Eva, now 24, and her company required a website. That's when I met her. Eva and her partner were impressed with the website and offered me their entire office contract. Ever since then, I've been handling all their IT needs. I made another attempt to reach out to Eva, and this time, she finally answered the call. I asked Eva why she hadn't been answering my calls, and she explained that she was in a meeting. After hearing her response, I professed my longing for her and then ended the call. I powered up my laptop and swiftly sent her a link, which she clicked on moments later. When she clicked on the link, I gained access to the camera on her mobile phone. Unfortunately, what I saw on the other end was something I didn't want to see. Through her phone's camera, I saw Eva lying in bed with a white sheet draped over her, her phone resting in her hand. My mind was in a frenzy because she had just informed me that she was in a meeting, leaving me puzzled about why she was lying in bed without any clothing. Suddenly, her business partner appeared on the screen, kissing her while resting his head on her shoulder. When she inquired about the link, I made a flimsy excuse, claiming it was sent to her by mistake and meant for someone else. She accepted my explanation without any hesitation. My love for her had blinded me to the truth. It dawned on me that I had been blind to her deception throughout our relationship. I resolved that I would no longer be her plaything. The next day, when she arrived, it felt like an eternity. I confronted her about her infidelity without bothering to calm myself down. At first, she denied everything, but when I mentioned the camera hack, she let out a sigh and confessed without displaying any remorse. It felt like someone had ripped my heart out of my chest. Despite the pain, I mustered the courage to ask her why she had used me all along. She revealed that I was an easy option to make her ex-boyfriend jealous. At first, it wasn't her intention to use me, but she noticed that he became insecure whenever she talked to me. So she pretended to have feelings for me, and the day our relationship became official, he begged her to bring him back into her life. There were instances when she felt guilty for exploiting me, but she believed it was crucial to keep him interested in her. I spoke to her about life. Initially, I had strong feelings of love towards you, but since yesterday, I've been feeling angry. Now I feel sorry for you because you had to feign love for me just to get the attention of your ex-partner. It's one of the worst things that can happen to anyone. She replied, saying that if I wanted to end our relationship, I had her permission to do so. She also mentioned that she never loved me and didn't feel any remorse about it. I believed it was essential at that moment, so I took action. I told her that I wouldn't let her go unpunished. She had to pay for what she had done to me. Afterward, I instructed her to leave my premises. Her infatuation with him was so intense that she didn't even ponder how I found out about their relationship. I endured 2 days of agony, but one thing was clear. I wouldn't let her escape the consequences of her actions. I had forgiven her for any guilt she may have felt about her behavior, but she was determined to make things right to the point where forgiveness was difficult. After pondering for 2 days, I devised a plan that required me to be in her office. Thus, I decided to pay her a visit. When she inquired about my presence, I explained that I had come to retrieve my belongings. I was aware of her merger meeting scheduled for later that afternoon, and I only required a few moments to swap her flash drive with mine. Once I had retrieved my things, I was ready to leave the office, which had figuratively left me empty-handed and contemplating my next move to bring her down. Fate had a different plan in store for me when someone called out my name and requested that I check on a projector issue in a meeting room. I had been seeking an opportunity like this, and finally it presented itself. Upon entering the room where Eva and he were seated, I took the chance to adjust the projector and replace the flash drive. My true intention was to observe Eva's distress, so I acted as though I needed them to turn on the projector to test its functionality. These were the pictures that were sent to me, along with the ones I captured after hacking into her camera. I kept the pictures I took with the hacked camera in case she denied my accusations. Since she didn't allow me that opportunity, I used those photos to harm her personal and professional life. The entire room, including their maintenance staff and new merger partners, began to whisper among themselves. It was common knowledge that Eva and I were in a relationship, and everyone was aware that her lover was married. As soon as they saw them in these photos, they started looking at them with a judgmental look. I approached her and explained that I felt it was necessary at the time. Their business associates made an excuse to leave the meeting, and her significant other abruptly departed, declaring their relationship over. I reminded her that I had warned her that using me for her own gain would come at a cost. You are left with nothing now, not the love of your life, not the person who loved you wholeheartedly, and not even the company. Thus, I believe I've achieved my goal of revenge upon you. She threw her laptop on the ground and began to scream. I had no regrets for my actions, just as she had none for hers towards me. I severed all ties with her and focused on my own healing process. Seeking revenge brought healing to my wounded heart. One day, Eva texted me asking to meet up. I ignored her message, but she persisted, claiming that I didn't love her if I didn't come. Eventually, she invited me to her office. The room was so dimly lit that I could barely make out a figure sitting in a chair by the window. I flicked on the light switch, illuminating the room. As soon as I saw her, I sensed that her remorse had intensified. I inquired about her sudden call, and she begged for an opportunity to make amends and rekindle our lost love. She also disclosed her wrongdoing. I now understand the gravity of my mistakes, she said. I comprehend the impact of my actions and the pain I've caused you. I handed her the box containing her possessions and informed her that our relationship was officially over. The emptiness you feel in my absence will serve as a constant reminder of the love you've lost and the harm you've caused, I explained. The severity of her actions finally dawned on her, and she was overwhelmed with regret and sorrow. As the weight of her guilt became unbearable, she fell to her knees and wept uncontrollably. For several months, she attempted to approach me and talk things through. Unfortunately, real life doesn't offer any do-overs, and Eva was forced to face the consequences of her actions. After some time had passed, I was leaving a restaurant with my fiancé when I spotted Eva standing by the valet, waiting for her car. She seemed visibly distressed, and when our gazes met, she looked as though she was on the verge of approaching me. I instead held my girlfriend's hand and walked away. This encounter made me realize that I had genuinely moved on, but it did not imply that I was willing to give Eva a chance to make things right.